Hi, Conn. How you doing?
Well, Peter, I'm doing well. Congratulations on the 4th book in your series, 7th Wonders. Is this really the 165th book you've written?
I've lost count. I think it's actually a little more than that, but we don't have to say that.
All right, Peter, so glad to have you with us. I know you're a biochemist, worked on Broadway, also went to Harvard. But what is it about writing that just seems to bring out your best?
It's the thing I always wanted to do. It's the thing that I always thought I couldn't do. It's the, as you're growing up, you have these dreams, and ever since I was about, 7 years old, I wanted to be a writer. I loved just kind of coming up with crazy ideas and putting them down on paper, and sometimes I didn't show them to people, and sometimes I did, but at some point, you got to get serious. And all the pressure that I felt from everyone around me was that I had to kind of put aside my childish things and do something else. And so, I majored in biochemistry in college. And when I finally came back around to writing, it was like, it was like an oasis in the middle of the desert. And I realized this is the thing that I wanted to do most of all. And so I kind of carry that energy with me into everything that I write as an adult. I feel very grateful that I realized that.
Peter, I don't see it, but is there any benefit of being a biochemist that's helped your writing?
I used to say no. It's so different, but I don't think so anymore. I actually think it does, because when you study the sciences, it's more a way of thinking than anything else. And when you're writing a novel, and especially when you're writing a series, you tie yourself into so many different knots in terms of plot. There's so many problems that you need to work out, so many things you have to keep straight. And when you study the sciences, it's all about hypothesis and testing and conclusions. Excuse me, and it helps you when you're writing. I really think that kind of analytical way of thinking served me in good stead. That's about it.
Well, Peter, it certainly works for sure. I know that you could live anywhere in the world given your success. You continue to live in New York City. Is that because there's such crazy stories happening around you?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm a native New Yorker. I grew up in Brooklyn, so I grew up with crazy stories happening all around me. But the thing is, it's interesting you say that, because when I take a break and I go outside and I take a walk, I can walk for, maybe 5 blocks in any direction, and I'll come up with an idea for a story just based on something I've seen or something that I've heard, a conversation on the street, because it's just such a dense place and there's just so much going on all the time.
Well, that's wonderful. You get inspired because your stories are so compelling. So let's jump right into the 4th book in the series. Tell us about it.
Well, the 7 Wonder series is about it's about a set of kids, 4 kids, Jack, Allie, Cass, and Marco, each of whom have inherited something from a prince who escaped the sinking of the continent of Atlantis centuries ago. What this condition does inside them, it takes whatever they're good at and turns it into this awesome superpower. Anybody in history who's ever had this condition has never lived past the age of 14. See, this is genetics coming out from what I studied in college. Now, these kids are 13 years old, they realize they have this condition, the clock is ticking, they find themselves on this island with scientists who have discovered a cure. If they can find 7 relics that were hidden away in the 7 wonders of the ancient world, bring them back to this island, then they'll be cured, and they'll live a long life with superpowers, and they'll also save the world. Big problem, 6 of the 7 wonders no longer exist. They've got to figure that out. Now, by the end of book 3, a lot has happened, but the major thing at the end of book 3 is that one of the loculi, one of these relics, has been destroyed. So all bets are off. The whole thing doesn't work if one of them is destroyed. We pick up the action in Curse of the King.
Well, Peter, your journey is amazing in and of itself. Graduated Harvard, biochemist. You actually were on Broadway for a while, now writing books. What have you learned on your journey that has served you so well?
I learned that sometimes the craziest ideas that you have for what you want to do in your life are the best. As I got older, I thought, Peter, you want to be a writer, you want to be an actor, that's kind of the things that you've always wanted to do, but those are the things that you can't do. Let's face it, you got to do something practical. But the older I got and the further away I went from the things that I knew I was called to do, the more I realized I had to go back to them, and that's the wisdom that I would give other people.
Well, Peter, we're certainly glad you went back. because we get to enjoy such great literature that you write. Thank you so much for the 4th installment. I'll look forward to the 5th. Congratulations.
Thanks, Conn. It's a pleasure.